Okay, this is the new kit, all right, that I got from my supplier, local supplier. In here, we have the water pump. And as you can see, if I grip onto this and try turning this, does not move. And I got the one with the metal impeller because from my experience, I have not seen one of these fail that way before. Okay? And this is the timing belt, tensioner and hydraulic tensioner. So I have a razor blade, make sure I don't cut the belt. Easier to come out of here, tighten them for me. Okay, now I think they misled me because I do not have the hydraulic tensioner in this kit. They sent me a roller, but no hydraulic tensioner. Okay, folks, I was a little disappointed with my supplier that they sent me a kit, something they call a kit, without the hydraulic tensioner. All right, you had in the kit that is sold, I just got the belt and the concentric roller. I had to buy the pump separate and the hydraulic tensioner separate. Overall, this cost me almost $200. You should be able to find this stuff online or some other supplier for around $150. Okay, I have put the belt, I have the water pump on. The hydraulic tensioner is only held on by the bottom screw. Okay, and I have the belt going around the crankshaft sprocket. Make sure the grooves in the belt is in place with the groove on the sprocket and not sitting on top of the groove. All right, after tightening the pump down, there's already an O-ring on the pump. It comes with the pump. You can put a little lubricant around it. Sometimes I use a little bit of liquid detergent around it so it's sliding easily and you don't mess up the O-ring. Or sometimes I spray a little WD-40 or something like that on it. Okay, over here is a mark on the cam sprocket. I put that there so it will be easily seen, and there's a mark also here in the timing belt cover, supposed to make sure these two are lined up. But normally you would do this before you take off the belt. Now I'm going to place the lower timing belt cover on. I've also put some white on that mark so it will be easily seen. Once it's on, I will install the pulley, the crank pulley, so I can line that mark up the pulley up with this mark. Okay, two things. Your crank pulley will have 6 holes. Actually, there's only 4 of them that you use to bolt this pulley on to the crankshaft sprocket, plus 2 other holes, and they're smaller than the 4 holes. Only one of these holes here, the one I have marked with white around it, will fit over a little nipple on the surface of the flat surface of the crankshaft sprocket. There's a little nipple on there. You place this on with that nipple coming up through this hole, and then these 4 holes should line up. Okay? Once they line up, put the 4 screws in there and tighten them down. Now, next, I'm going to put on this concentric adjuster for the belt, and this portion right here rides on the plunger of the hydraulic adjuster. There's a pin, it comes with a pin installed through that plunger to keep it in. Do not pull that pin out until everything is in place, the belt and everything, and that's the last thing you do is pull that out. Okay, so I'm going to place this on, set up the belt, the timing and everything, and walk you through that. Oh yeah, on the back of the pulley is a washer. Do not lose this washer. There's a plastic sleeve that was installed on here to keep that washer in place. Remove that before you install this. Of course, you won't be able to install the screw, tighten the screw in the hole if that plastic piece is still on. Okay, I do believe you can see the mark here on the crank pulley and the timing belt, the lower timing belt cover. What I like to do, I do mine a little different than other folks. I like to put, with the belt on, I like to grab either side of the belt and pull and up, say pull my right hand up, and that pulley mark will move, and pull back with my left hand until they line up perfectly. Okay? I do that to make sure that the belt is in the groove on the camshaft sprocket. Once I do that, I pass it over the pump. Okay, turn the pump slightly to make sure it locks in. The upper end, pass that over the, let me get the camera onto this. Now, the upper end of the belt, this end, I bring that in line with the camshaft sprocket, but I use my 16 millimeter box end, and I rotate, pulling in that direction towards your left. I bring that back like half a tooth. Okay, and the belt drops in the groove. Keeping pressure with your left hand over there. The right hand, I like to drop this down in the between the two little, whatever you call it, flanges on the idler pulley, and then feed this around. But I don't really drive this pulley all the way in, because I like some movement in it, and that makes it easier for me to get the belt on it. At that point, I pull the belt like halfway back off the sprocket, and that makes it a lot easier for me to feed this belt in place. Okay, now the belt is in. All I have to do is push everything back towards the head. All right, this side is already pretty tight because I pulled it towards my left. So that's already tight. Marks down here have not moved. Double check that mark on the sprocket. Hasn't moved. And the mark on the camshaft sprocket is right on. At that point, I can put in the top screw for the hydraulic tensioner. Okay, top screw has been put in place. and top and bottom screw tighten up. The center screw for this pulley right here, the concentric pulley, make sure that's tight also. And at this point, I go around and check the water pump screws, hydraulic tensioner screw, this screw, all my timing marks, and make sure everything is on point. Before you put the timing belt cover on. And the rest of it is the reverse of when you're taking it apart, the disassembly. Once you do that, pieces back on. I usually like to take or just do it with your ignition off, turn the crank 2-3 times through 3 full revolutions. Make sure everything is cool, nothing jamming up, no valves hitting. And then you get in the car, turn your key, and should be ready to go. Oh, do yourself a favor. Do not forget to pull this pin out of the hydraulic tensioner. All right? And you can lift the follower up to make sure there's movement. And something else. I ran into a problem once where after installing the tensioner, you have to be able to move it. It has to move. If it doesn't move freely, then something is wrong. And what I surmise had happened, somebody had to re-tap that hole that this screw go in, and it wasn't done correctly. So it was slightly off. Now, as I tighten the center one down, what happened, this would not move. And that's no good. It has to move freely. So what I ended up doing, there's a washer that go on the back here. I removed the screw and the washer and took, let's say maybe a couple of thousandths of an inch off of this surface. Put the screw back, the washer on, and then I got free movement. Because the washer doesn't ride up against this surface. The washer actually doesn't ride up against this surface, it actually rides up against the flat part on the screws, this part right here. Okay, so you have to have clearance between this and this surface, the washer and this surface.